Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today, our topic is guardianship. Guardianship, what it is and what it is not. And so I have two fabulous, phenomenal guests with me tonight. Yes, I said two lovely lady lawyers who will be telling us all about guardianship. So, but before I bring them on, I want to hear from you. So, if you will, in the comments, let me know what city and state you are tuning in from. We are live on Conversations with Nicole Facebook, on YouTube, and on the Greater Works Network on Roku TV. And so I see some of you chiming in already. I see you, cousin Denise in Texas, Miss Doris. Thank you for being here. Miss Doris is how I even connected with these ladies here. And so we also have Pandas 0918 out of Tallahassee, Florida. Thank you for being here. So y'all tag a friend and let them know that they need to be on here. We have a lot to discuss tonight, and I know you all are going to have some questions. So bring your questions, bring your comments. This is a safe space, it's interactive, and we definitely want to hear from you. I see you, Mom, down in Miami. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. We have Johnny Johnson in the house. Thank you for being here, Johnny. Appreciate you. Again, guardianship. This is not our, kind of our typical topic, but it is mental health related, and you'll find out why in just a little bit. I see you, Lisa, in Tallahassee, and Tracy Golay also in Tallahassee. So Tallahassee is strong in the house tonight. I appreciate y'all. So today was a very rainy day here in Tallahassee. And we also had the rally and tally. How many of you all went to the rally and tally at the Capitol that was letting the governor know how we feel about the banning of the AP African American history class? Let me know if you will. Raise your hand. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know if you anybody made their way down to the Capitol today for that rally and tally at the Capitol. I did not make it down. I did promote it, but I did get to see some of the video from it. It looks like it was a pretty good turnout. So hopefully there was some impact made from that activity. Hello, Miss Sunshine Gwen Rittman. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you. All right. So while others of you are joining us, I'm going to go ahead and read my first guest bio. Attorney Felicia S.W. Thomas is a practicing attorney with 26 years of experience, a published author, and an editor. She received her BS degree in journalism from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University and her Juris Doctorate degree from the Florida State University College of Law. She has obtained legal experience in a variety of areas, including the Second Judicial Circuit's Public Defender's Office, the Florida Parole Commission, the Reemployment Appeals Commission, and the Florida Department of Revenue. Currently, Attorney Thomas practices includes guardianship law, wills and probate, and VA disability law. She is also a professional guardian. Attorney Thomas serves on the board of several nonprofits and is a member of the Florida State Guardianship Association and the Florida Health Care Association. She has published a young adult novel, short stories, and served as a ghostwriter on other works. Attorney Thomas is a native of Quincy, Florida, and the mother of three children. So help me welcome Attorney Felicia S.W. Thomas.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here tonight.
Nice to have you tonight.
You.
Appreciate you being here. So, I'm going to ask, who are you? Not what you do, but who are you?
Who am I? That's not the easiest question to answer, but I'll give it a try.
Okay.
I am a country girl. I'm
Mm,
proud to call Quincy home. I'm always learning, learning new topics, new subjects.
mhm.
Writing is a passion,
Okay.
and I like to convey feelings through my writing and through the work I do. It's another way of expressing myself while I help others.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I love that. I love that. All right. So I seem to not have attorney Karen Campbell's information handy. So I'm gonna have her just come on and introduce herself. So you all help me welcome attorney Karen Campbell.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Felicia. Hi,
Hey,
Nicole.
hey,
Let's
welcome, welcome.
see. I am kind of glad you don't have those 3 paragraphs that talks about the what 30 some odd years I've been practicing law. But I will introduce myself. So I am a licensed attorney in Florida who is currently serving as the executive director for the North Florida Office of Public Guardian. And we'll talk more about what that means, what that agency is a little later. And I have been the executive director there for 22 years.
Wow.
Seen a lot of growth. And I also have had the good fortune to participate in guardianship reform on the local level,
Mhm.
state level, and national level. And I've been able to bring my perspective. It's so interesting because guardianship, if you think about guardianship, or most people think about guardianship, it's to protect assets,
Mm-hmm.
protect people's wealth, and but there are a whole subset of people who
Mm-hmm.
need protection who may not have a lot of wealth. I've been able to bring that perspective to these guardianship reform efforts. I teach professional guardians. I lecture frequently in the area of guardianship and elder law, and write publications on guardianship and elder law as well. So that's
Okay.
what I do.
Mm-hmm. And who are you?
I knew you were going to ask. That's hard to answer, right, Felicia?
Yes.
Because we so often want to wrap up who we are and what we do. And then I had to think about, okay, so the best way I can do it is say, I am a child of the Most High, trying every day to love better, be better, do better, wrapped up in my family, trying to be a better spouse, trying to be a better mother of adult children, which should be another topic.
Yes. For Wellness Wednesday.
Yes. And a grandmother. I love my babies. I love my children. But
Mm-hmm.
if I had known if there was a way to just like jump to the grandchildren, that would have been great. So
Oh
I'm
my
a
goodness.
I'm
That is
a
funny.
grandmother on steroids.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, very good. Well, I'm so excited and delighted to have both of you here tonight to talk about this very interesting topic. I met Felicia at an event
Mhm.
that Miss Doris Dixon Strong had
Yes.
um, last month, actually. And she said, "You got to have me on your show." And I said, "Okay, well, what you want to talk about?" And she said, "Guardianship." I was like, "Okay, well, tell me more." And so as she proceeded to tell me, I was like, "You are right. I do have to have you on my show." So
Yes.
yeah, I'm grateful that I attended and we met and that we are able to have this conversation now. So I'm gonna dive right on in and ask you all, what is guardianship? What is guardianship?
Okay, I guess I will tackle that subject. Since we're talking about Wellness Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
guardianship covers a multitude of subject areas, but we're going to focus on mental health tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of the cognitive disorders that guardianship covers includes mental illness, for instance, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, OCD. It also covers developmental disabilities. For instance, you're born with some kind of issue. There's advanced age for, older people who can no longer take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the areas we touch upon in guardianship. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Karen. I think she could tell us more about what guardianship is.
Okay.
The common thread for what Felicia was talking about is that there's some kind of underlying cognitive impairment.
Yes.
And there it has to be a cognitive impairment that is interfering with a person's ability to safely manage their lives. So it's not every person with mental illness, right? Many of us walk around with diagnoses of mental illness, but we manage just fine. But very severe mental illness can impact your ability to pay your bills, keep a roof over your head, make your medical decisions. And
Mhm.
all of those disorders, or many of those disorders that Felicia was describing, can do that. So if you have a person who has a cognitive impairment that is interfering with their ability to manage their lives, and they need protection, they need someone else to make their decisions, to make their environment safe, there is a legal construct through the court system where a judge can appoint someone else to make the decisions for that person in certain specified areas,
Okay.
so that that person's life can be safe and their well-being protected. That's guardianship in a nutshell.
Okay. And so we see that with adults only.
No. Florida, and it is a state statute. So every state's different.
Mhm.
Okay.
And in Florida, we have minor guardianships, and there are rules associated with that, and then adult guardianships. And then for minors, right, and this
Mhm.
might help too. Minors are declared legally incapacitated, and their parents are their natural guardians.
Yes.
That's why they can't vote, they can't buy property.
Mhm.
Those, right? That's what happens for minors.
Right.
But when you reach the age of 18, you get a whole host of civil rights that you get to exercise.
Right.
And you have them until someone takes them away. We're familiar, unfortunately, with them being taken away through the criminal justice system, right?
Mhm.
Convicted felons lose some of their civil rights. Well, there's a civil court process where a judge can remove someone's rights through guardianship because the court determines, with the help of independent professionals, that this person cannot safely manage their own lives. You want to add to that, Felicia?
Yes, I'd like people to understand that we all have the right to make bad decisions. We have money, we live where we want to live, but we get to make those choices. Just because we're giving money to certain people doesn't mean that we're making a bad decision. So that's why the courts become involved. There's certain criteria you have to meet to be considered incapacitated. So, I could have $1 million and decide to just give it out to everybody I meet in the street. It doesn't mean I need guardianship.
Mhm.
So it's not the first answer, it's the last resort.
Mm.
So when we get into this more, you understand what that means.
So, question: was guardianship is that what happened to Britney Spears?
Yes.
Yes.
And in
Mm.
some states, they call it conservatorships when
Yes.
the person is over the money, and
Mhm.
they call it guardianship when the actor, the person making the decisions,
Yes.
is over the individual. Here in Florida, we do not make that distinction. Guardianship can cover decisions involving a person and the person's property. A guardian can do both of those.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
also not to be confused with guardian ad litem,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
A very familiar term.
Yes.
Right.
Ad litem is someone appointed in a court case dealing with children,
Yes.
right? And the guardian ad litem becomes the eyes and the ears of the court, reporting back in family law and dependency situations.
Mm.
But the legal guardian, what we're talking about tonight, actually stands in the shoes of the person after the court appoints them and makes decisions, decides where the person lives,
Mhm.
takes control of their bank account, pays their
Right.
bills, invests for them,
Yes.
those kinds of decisions.
Okay, so what are the costs associated with guardianship?
Miriam?
So, yes, quite a few. So, first, let's talk about where we are. Why are we asking about guardianship at this point?
Okay.
So, I think this is a passion for both Karen and me.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we here now when clearly somebody we know and love, we know that person is vibrant, they were careful with their money. All of a sudden, again, they have the right to make bad decisions. But when you see this is not their normal behavior and you start to see a decline over time, and then we sit back and watch it. And then when it's okay, we've got to do something. We're looking at guardianship, and it involves not just costs. We're talking about court oversight. You have to court in your business. You got to involve so many other people. And I think Karen should speak to what we should be doing instead of looking at guardianship.
Felicia and I are, we have a kind of, there are a few of us,
Yes.
female attorneys in Tallahassee who do this kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
And we, it breaks our hearts. In fact, I had a call this week, so the person who called me is in her mid 30s, 40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's got elderly parents. And she has always wanted to help her family. Her family member is independent, taking care of himself. And then all of a sudden he has an illness that has rendered him really incapable of managing his affairs anymore.
Mm.
And then she calls me. Well, once he can no longer plan for himself, your options are so limited. They're limited to guardianship. And guardianship is costly. It's expensive. You have, there are at least 2 attorneys, 3 professionals, court filing fees.
Yes.
It can easily run into tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
For a
Wow.
guardianship. Yes, ma'am. And for just a few $100s and some planning time before the person loses capacity, you can avoid guardianship totally. There are other communities who do this well. Our community does not. Yeah. And if I could speak to anybody, I want to speak to the person who's getting older. Felicia, this is my pet peeve.
Yes.
The person who is getting older, husband who's listening. Yes, you want to hold on to your independence, but plan in the event that one day you might not have. Be able to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Think about who you trust in your circle. And it's got to be somebody you trust, right? Yes. You can't turn over the reins to your whole life to somebody you don't trust. Mm-hmm. But look around you and figure out who can you trust. And then go see Felicia. Go see a private attorney. Talk about your options in terms of planning. A simple, durable power of attorney given to a person you trust can completely avoid guardianship. And that just costs a couple $100.
Indeed. Well, okay, so Felicia Nicholson, she said, this is her current situation. She's currently caring for her elderly father after he has suffered from 2 strokes.
Yes. What Karen was talking about, it's called advanced directives.
Advanced directives.
Advanced directives, which means planning ahead, putting this in place before you need it to let your family, your friends, your doctors, whomever is involved in your care know what your wishes are. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be in a position where other people are guessing about what you want. So the law gives you the right, and a competent adult can make those decisions, and it's in writing. So there are a number of things. There's a living will. You can appoint a healthcare surrogate. You, like Karen said, durable power of attorney. You can put your medical decisions in there, and it survives incapacity, like a regular power of attorney where you give somebody the authority to transact business on your behalf. That's null and void once you become incapacitated or unconscious and you can't speak for yourself. Durable means that person can continue to act if you are unable to. And these documents work together, they even overlap. So you want to put these in place when you feel you don't need them.
Okay.
That's the point of them being advanced.
So I see Panda asked about the 5 wishes, which I was going to ask about as well. Is that a great free resource that you would recommend?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Good deal. Um, and so the living will, healthcare surrogate, durable power of attorney are all examples of advanced directives.
Advanced directives, yes.
Okay.
The
They
healthcare.
are your directions in advance of when you need them.
Okay.
Correct. Because we've seen stories, heard stories of people who decline either quickly or, you notice all of a sudden they're not the same. I have a friend who told me this story of a coworker
Mm-hmm.
who was this nice lady, well put together, was on top of her game. And one day she started coming in looking disheveled, hair was uncombed, and other coworkers thought it was funny, so it got worse. And then one day she came in with her purse on her shoulder, but the contents of her purse in her arms.
Mm-hmm.
And the last straw for my friend was that she was always well put together. Her
Mm-hmm.
makeup looked clownish. And she finally went to their supervisor and said, I think she's having a mental health crisis. It
Mm-hmm.
makes me wonder about that woman's family. How do
Right.
you sit back and watch this and do nothing about it? And
Mm-hmm.
when you're at the guardianship stage, I've had people ask me, well, I want guardianship and I also want a durable power of attorney, where those don't coexist in the same space. If
Okay.
they're at the point that they need guardianship, they cannot sign a durable
Mm-hmm.
power of attorney because they have to know what they're signing. They have to understand it. They have to be competent to sign it. So at that point, you can forget about the durable power of attorney. We're in guardianship territory, which again is expensive. And if you don't have the funds to do it, then what do you do? This is the question we ask.
Wow. Okay, so you would recommend all 3 of these, though, right? Living will, healthcare surrogate, and a durable power of attorney.
Yes. Also, rep payee. So if you see someone who's looks like they may need help, and they're getting Social Security, we're talking about typically older people or people with a developmental disability.
Mm-hmm.
You can also put in place becoming a rep payee, which is a person that Social Security designates as the person to receive that person's benefits
Mm-hmm.
and disperse them, pay their bills, uh, make sure they, rent is paid, things like that. You can put all of that in place to avoid guardianship,
Okay.
because even the courts, even the law prefers less restrictive alternatives, which advanced directives are.
Gotcha.
And Nicole, rather than have people go to their attorney and say, I want this document, really what you want to do is you want to go and you want to talk about your family. You want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about your individual needs and the people you love, and let the attorney tell you what options
Yes.
would be appropriate in your particular situation. So we
Okay.
had someone who's in this conversation with us talk about her father with the 2 strokes.
Mm-hmm.
It may be too late if the father can't understand um, about what the extent of his assets are.
Mm-hmm.
He may not even understand what those documents mean when someone explains them to him. It may be too late for him to do a power of attorney, durable power of attorney.
Mm-hmm.
But a good elder law, disability law attorney can then help you go, well, let's look at what resources, what kind of assets are we talking about managing?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can do joint bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
There, as Felicia said, maybe representative payee or a VA fiduciary. So there are a lot of resources available. A trust might be something that might be an option in a particular family. But what's important is to go talk to someone who's knowledgeable in the area.
So you said an elder law or disability law attorney?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't even know those existed.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Marjorie said, if you are a representative payee for minors and something happens to you, who will this be reassigned to? Can we ensure it goes to another specific individual, or does the state decide?
Representative payee is the world of Social Security Administration, and
Right.
federal law trumps state law.
Yes.
So the federal government, Social Security, decides who will be the rep payee. And normally they choose the family member who presents, seems reasonable, reliable. And so they ultimately have the decision for a
Okay.
representative payee. In the guardianship arena, it would be the state court system. The probate judge is going to make that decision.
Yes.
Now, what we're talking about is if you're planning and you can name people in your documents to serve in those capacities. And so when the time arises, the court will look at what you stated as your preference. Social Security should look at what you stated as your preference. But ultimately, the decision lies with the Social Security Administration.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay,
Yes.
my
I know.
I know.
It is spinning.
my wheels are turning because I'm
Yes.
just thinking about you all are saying this is costly to go this route, and I'm just thinking about my family, and we recently had a family meeting in an attempt to talk about just our business, our individual business,
Yes.
like where our wills and important
Yes.
papers are, and bank accounts, and
Yes.
what doctors do you go to, and what medicine are you taking,
Right.
and all of those sorts of things. So I'm a big proponent of having those talks,
Yes.
especially with your immediate family or chosen family,
Yes.
just so that if something should happen, you won't be, I mean, it's already tragic enough
Yes.
dealing with the loss, or some debilitating whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but then they have to try to contend with all the business around caring for someone, or attempting to care for them. It can just be overwhelming. So
Yes.
I really am hoping that this conversation is valuable to those of you who are on here, and you're getting something from this. So I was a little bit aware of advanced directives. I probably have maybe 2 out of 3 of these things,
Yes.
4, if you include the 5 wishes. I have 5 wishes. I have a healthcare surrogate. I don't have a living will. I don't have a durable power of attorney. So I definitely want to get on that,
Well,
like
actually, Nicole,
ASAP.
your
Huh?
5 wishes is a living will.
Oh,
Five
that is a
wishes
living
is,
will.
yes, it is
Okay.
your instructions as to what you want at the end of life, what kind of
Okay.
care
Got
you'd
it.
like.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yes, 5 wishes is a living will.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'd
Um.
like to, I'm sorry, I'd
Yeah,
like
go
to
ahead.
point out about the powers of attorney, the durable power of attorney.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to make sure you appoint somebody you trust, absolutely trust, because I've seen people use powers of attorney as the authority to go and clean out the person who gave them that authority. And it's a crime. And you could be leveled with civil and criminal penalties.
Mm.
So it's not the answer to everything. And we've seen where people use that to go and change the title of the vehicle to that person's name. And, this is father gave son durable power of attorney. Son goes and starts changing things and putting it into his name. And then father, rent's not being paid, mortgage is not being paid, and bank accounts are being wiped out. So it's so important to have those conversations. It's difficult, but you need to have them.
Need to.
And, sometimes a friend might be the best person, not necessarily family. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen dysfunction within families, which is how some people end up in guardianship. because
Mhm.
the family can't agree or they're at odds, and here's mom or dad needing care, and sister thinks brother's going to take all the money and run away with it, and nobody's doing anything. So yes, we have to have those conversations more often.
When situations like that happen and you're in guardianship, a judge may decide we're not going to give the authority to make decisions for the person to anybody in the family.
Mm.
Right.
We may the judge may select a professional guardian. And Felicia is an attorney, but she also is a professional guardian. I'm an attorney, but I also have the status of professional guardian.
Yes.
And there are a list of professional guardians. One of the resources that you have, Nicole, is the Department of Elder Affairs' list,
Yes.
and
Okay.
it's by county. You
Okay.
can see the registered professional guardians. So those people are vetted. They are background screened, credit history, and they have to register with the state annually. So if you don't have a trusted individual in your own family, there are professionals that you can pay fee for service to act as your fiduciary. That's another one term for a guardian. And they can protect your life, protect your well-being, and you don't have to worry about that exploitation as much as if you've got like an iffy kind of situation
Yes.
in your family. The North Florida Office of Public Guardian, which I'm the executive director of, has a private fee for service side. So we too are professional guardians that the public can hire us to be a trusted fiduciary as a guardian if you don't have one in your own family.
Interesting. Okay, I got questions around that, but before I ask my questions, for those of you who may be just joining us, I am on with the attorneys Felicia S.W. Thomas and attorney Karen P. Campbell, and we're talking all things guardianship. We've talked about advanced directives, and now we're talking about having the designation of guardian. So tell me a little more about this professional guardian piece. You talked about being registered. Are there classes that have to be taken in terms of that designation? Are
Absolutely.
there continuing education
Yes.
courses?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It
A
begins.
test that they have to take, a competency test,
Mm-hmm.
continuing education, and there's a what the ethical standards, is it standards of practice? I couldn't remember how they titled it. In Florida law that a professional guardian has to follow,
Mm-hmm.
specific rules and statutes. And as Felicia said earlier, there are criminal and civil penalties if they mess up.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a serious matter.
It
Wow.
is.
Alpha sisters listening.
Right. And when professional guardians have a role in your family's life, they have to understand that they got the court overseeing everything they do.
Mm-hmm.
So we know there have been stories about, misconduct in the guardianship arena, but that's like a very small piece of guardianship. There's so many guardians out there. I would say 99% are working hard, finding solutions where there are none, piecing together services to make sure the people they take care of have the things they need. So people are guardians, not because they want to be rich, but because they want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's thankless. Sometimes you're doing it pro bono by accident,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to love it to do it, because it's not easy, and it's not a magic wand, because professional is working for you or that person.
Mm-hmm.
They can't magically make something appear when a family member couldn't. So we just have a little bit more experience. So we are working hard. We are, there are gaps in services sometimes that we have to close that gap.
Okay. So let me ask you this: with the is it mostly attorneys that are guardian? Do you have to be an attorney to be a guardian, or no?
What an interesting question. It is kind of rare that that you've got the two of us on, and we are both professional guardians and attorneys. But
Right.
no, you do not have to be. There's really no threshold educational requirement in
Okay.
terms of a degree to become a professional guardian. There are those requirements of taking a course to learn about guardianship, the competency exam to make sure you can function as a guardian in the continuing education, but no threshold educational requirement. Quite a few attorneys, though, I wouldn't say quite a few. I know attorneys who are guardians, but there are nurses who are guardians. There are social workers who are guardians.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter. It's what Felicia said. You want to help people. You're familiar with the supports and services that are out there. And the one thing that I'd like to add too is guardians are amazing advocates. So I have a staff of social workers and guardian representatives. We have the capacity to take care of 308 people under guardianship in 22 counties in North Florida. And so they do that phenomenally. The situations that they've improved, they've taken people out of institutions and allowed them to live in the community. They've supported people to go back to work, actually, with developmental disabilities. They've advocated for medical care, obtained public benefits, saved houses.
Yes.
It's just amazing what they can do when they stand in the shoes of the individual with the authority given by the court, and they make people's lives better. That's it in a nutshell.
They
make
do
lives better.
I
That
have
sounds
to,
like guardianship done right.
yes, I
I
have
like
to,
that. You may
yes,
see that again, Nicole. That's what OPG is about.
yes.
Guardianship done right.
And I know Karen wouldn't want me to do this, but I have to say this. I got into guardianship because of Karen.
Okay.
I would consider myself a baby in the business because I've been doing it for less than 10 years. So about 9 years ago, I was unemployed briefly, and I wanted to volunteer, wanted to do something. So my family and I were on our way to church. We were at the Hardee's drive-thru. I remember it very clearly. And I heard this voice on the radio. It was the kindest voice I'd ever heard. And she was talking about guardianship, something I had never heard. And they were looking for volunteers. So
Oh,
I
wow.
thought, okay, they're going to ask me to go and sit in the hospital with someone. I really didn't know what it was about. And so I went into the office and I met the staff. I met Karen, and I fell in love with OPG. And they put me to work. They put me to work. And then Karen said, well, you'd make a great guardian. I said, really? So I took the 40-hour course that she taught, and I still want to do it. And so I've been practicing 9-10 years now, and they do some awesome work with a very small staff. The stories I could tell. My favorite story is one of Karen's guardian reps got a call overnight about someone she was taking care of needed surgery, and the doctors didn't think the person needed it. And that staff person said, no, you give him what he needs. Now she's in Tallahassee. He was in PC. I think I'm telling it right. And she drove through the night. This man had no family. She drove through the night to be by his side when he woke up from that surgery. I think I want to be a guardian from that moment on. This is before I did the 40-hour course. This is the kind of work they do. This is the kind of person, staff you want working for you when you can't take care of yourself.
Wow, that's incredible. All right.
I'll pass that on to them, Felicia.
Yes.
Yes. No, that's awesome. All right, we're going to get into how folks can connect with the OPG, as you all call it.
Yes.
But before we do, I know that there was some more information around guardianship and advanced directives around what they have in common. So can you talk a little bit about what those two things have in common, guardianship and advanced directives?
You know, I don't think we can say enough that you would rather have an advanced directive over your life than be in a guardianship.
Yes.
And so the what you can do, In the guardianship statute, there's a section of the law that says which rights a court can remove and delegate to a guardian. There's some rights that can be removed in the process of guardianship and not delegated to anyone. For example, the right to vote can be removed. No one else can vote for you. So the right's just gone.
Right.
The right to marry can be removed and the right's just gone. No one else can marry for you, right? But the right to make your medical decisions, that can be removed from you and delegated to a guardian. So the guardian can make your medical decisions, insist on a surgery that you need to have. The right to manage your own property can be removed and delegated to a guardian. The right to decide where you're going to live can be removed by a court and delegated to a guardian. But guess what? The right to make your own, to make your medical decisions, the right to manage your property, the right to determine where you live, you can put those in a durable power of attorney. And so the agent under a power of attorney can have the same type of authority that a guardian will have under the a guardianship court. And so we can't say enough about, please don't end up in the guardianship court. Try to plan for and possible incapacity.
Wow, I'm still a little blown away by the right to marry being taken away from your right to vote. The only people that I'm aware of that don't have a right to vote are
and people under guardianship. So with the power of attorney, you keep your rights, right? They're not removed. You just decided, I'm going to give these rights to somebody else. To exercise on my behalf.
On my behalf. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. And in guardianship, there's a guardian, whether it's a professional or a family member, or even a friend who's exercising that role. Every guardian has to have an attorney represent them. So again, we're going back to costs. That attorney has to be paid. So, and that's ongoing until the guardianship has been terminated, either by the death of the ward. They're called the ward once they're adjudicated incapacitated, or the guardian is removed for misconduct, or the guardian dies. So that's a cost that continues as long as the guardianship is active.
Okay. I did have a question around guardianship and the fees the fees that a guardian can charge. Are those regulated by the state at all, or?
They are not. It's what the market bears.
Yes.
Okay. Would it be helpful, you think, Nicole, if we kind of walked through the process of establishing a guardianship?
Yeah.
Like to hear that?
Yes.
Hold on, before you do, we do have a question by Sunshine Gwen. She said, can the power of attorney be revoked by the individual once they sign off on it?
It's a great question.
Yes.
In the context of what we're talking about, what we're hoping is an individual, when they have all their faculties, makes their power of attorney, right? They write a power of attorney. Time goes on. They can, while they still have their faculties, they can change it. They can change the people who are acting on their behalf. They can revoke it. They can do whatever they want to. At the point that they become incapacitated, however, that power of attorney is a durable power of attorney is kind of frozen in time. And what some elder law attorneys do in our community is that they will actually go to court, have a court determine the person's incapacitated, so they can no longer make changes to that power of attorney. They can no longer revoke that power of attorney. It's kind of frozen. And then they don't start a guardianship. They use the power of attorney to go forward. So yes, you can revoke it while the person has the capacity to understand and do that. But once the person loses capacity to understand what they're doing, that power of attorney, durable power of attorney, is frozen in time.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. That's a good question, Gwen. All right. So yes, take us through the process.
All right. So somebody has determined out in the world that you can no longer make decisions safely for yourself. It could be a hospital, it could be adult protective services, it could be any number of, it could be a family member, it could be a neighbor, right? And they bring that to the attention of a petitioning attorney, an attorney who will file the necessary paperwork in the court system to have you declared incapacitated and appoint a guardian. At the moment that that petition is filed, and there are costs associated with filing that petition, there are two court processes that go on at the same time. One is to determine you incapacitated, and the other is who's going to act on your behalf. So you have two filing fees.
Yes.
What's that run?
Under $1,000, right? 800 or so for the two.
For both?
About 600. We're talking about filing fees alone. About $630.
Look,
400 for one, 230 for the other.
Okay.
It's just the filing fees.
Gotcha.
So then the clerk of court appoints the court appoints an attorney for the what is called the alleged incapacitated person. There's an attorney appointed. That attorney is appointed regardless of whether you have your own attorney. And there are some court processes if you'd rather have your own attorney, but an attorney is appointed who will speak on your behalf. Then there is a 3-member independent professional examining committee appointed by the court. One of those persons has to be a licensed physician or psychiatrist, and then the other two can be nurses, social workers. There's a list of people that it could be. They go out and physically meet the individual, the alleged incapacitated person, and they render an opinion as to whether or not the person can exercise a list of enumerated rights, make medical decisions, determine where they're going to live, social environment, that vote, marry, that whole list. They write a report to the court, and then there is a court hearing. Oh, at the same time, there is a petition to appoint a guardian, right? Okay. And so anybody can file the petition, any adult. And often you'll have competing petitions.
Yes.
You know, family members may be fighting about who should be guardian. So then you get to the hearing. The individual has an opportunity to be heard. They're represented by counsel. The first part of the hearing is should the person be adjudicated incapacitated with respect to individual rights. If all of them are removed, that's called a plenary guardianship. If the person is left with one or more of the enumerated rights, it's called a limited. It's a limited guardianship if you get the guardianship, right?
Right.
And so that determination is made, an order is entered. At the same hearing, the court will look at the petitions to become guardian and make a decision as to which person would be the better guardian if there are competing petitions. And professional guardians are often appointed when a judge says, I don't know if this sister is better than this sister, I'll just appoint a professional. And then letters issue. The letters is what I call the guardian's driver's license. The court says in the letters, this is what this guardian can do. This is what this guardian cannot do. And that's what they present to banks. That's what they present to doctors to say, I can act on this person's behalf.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did I forget anything?
No, you didn't. But I do want to add in the context of mental illness. Okay. This is where advanced directives are invaluable. So the attorney that represents the alleged incapacitated person, if they have a mental illness, but they can still articulate whether they want a guardian or not, that attorney represents that person. And let's say the examining committee disagrees. There are two of them that say there should be a plenary guardianship and one that says limited or no guardianship. Well, then we're talking about maybe a full trial where each of those examining committee members have to be questioned about why they made this decision. And the judge may say, well, no, this person does not need a guardian. Well, the problem with that is that whoever filed this petition, the cost, the attorney that represents the alleged incapacitated person has to be paid. The examining committee members have to be paid. Well, the person filing the petition pays all of that. So it's another reason not to wait until guardianship is your only option. Now,
I want to echo what she said.
Okay.
Because you think about it, all of the costs we just laid out, the individual who's being protected will end up at the end of the day paying those costs.
Yes.
They pay for everybody.
Wow.
That's how it's set up. Yes. So it's not a light decision to make to file guardianship. So I've had cases where, again, we all have the right to make bad decisions, but this person has a history of behaving this way, but they have the right to do certain things. So if you say, well, I think this person should be under a guardianship, and you go to court and all of these people have expended this time and their expertise, and at the end of the day, the judge says, no, this person doesn't need guardianship. Those costs are yours. So, you should consult with someone early, if somebody's having those issues.
Right.
Or before you come in to say, I want guardianship. And, you look at those costs.
In our community, I know of 2 or 3 cases where the fight about guardianship cost over $100,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yes.
I also want us to touch on what guardianship can't do, right? We talked about some of the wonderful things that guardianship can do in terms of protecting someone, in terms of making sure that the money's protected and all of that. But I've had people call us and say, my daughter, who has a developmental disability, is turned 18 and she's dating, and I don't want her to date. So I want to become her guardian. I don't want her having sex. I don't want her to have a boyfriend.
Oh, Lord.
It's true.
I've had people call me and say, and this is sad, this was not funny, that my daughter is suffering from severe mental illness. I can't keep her in the house. She literally runs down the street naked. Those things guardianship can't solve.
No.
There's a piece of paper that says, I can call Social Security and get control of your check and pay your bills. I can talk to your doctor and I can make medical decisions. I cannot stop you from running down the street naked. So sometimes, and it's really not funny, because families get to their last, they are at their wits' end about how to handle some really serious issues. And they think, if I can just get control, I can fix it. But there's some things guardianship can't do.
It cannot. Right. Again, it's not a magic wand.
Gotcha. So how do I want to ask this? Once guardianship is established or determined, is it until the death of the person, or can it be reversed?
That's a good question.
It's until the person regains capacity.
Right.
Okay. And that's what I was asking. Okay. Yes. And so would a judge have to deem the person?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Go back to court.
Florida law makes it harder to get into a guardianship than it is to get out. You needed 3 people to recommend you to get in. You only need 1 doctor to recommend that you can get out.
Oh, okay.
Right. And the goal of every guardianship is to get that person back to capacity. In some instances, it's not an option, but you still have to make the effort. And as guardians, we're required to take steps, expose them to activities that could help them get back to capacity.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Wow. Well, I definitely have learned quite a lot this evening through this conversation.
Yes.
So we are almost at the end of our hour. So I want to give you ladies an opportunity to share any closing remarks. So we'll start with Attorney Thomas.
Well, I think the drum we've been beating all night is to plan early. I think I might have stolen that from Karen, but we can't say it enough. Please consult an attorney. It's going to cost you a little up front to save you thousands on the back end.
Okay.
So don't be afraid to call someone. They may charge a consultation fee, but it's a small price to pay to know ahead of time.
Indeed. Okay. And also, how can folks connect with you as well?
Okay, I can be reached at my email address at fswthomaslaw@gmail.com, or they can call me at 850-366-3910.
All right. And it's at the bottom of the screen there. So you see her contact information. And are you taking new cases or
I am as guardian and as the attorney.
Okay. All right. And what type of law again are you?
Guardianship, veterans, disability, wills, and probate.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
And in the state of Florida, correct?
In the state of Florida.
All right. All right. I did have this question for both of you. Both of you serve the North Florida area primarily.
Yeah, for me, yes, definitely. Felicia can serve anywhere in the state.
I can, but logistically, it's better to have people I can get to in a few hours than like many hours. I may not take a case in Key West because if they need me overnight,
right.
I might take one in Key West. That's
can I go with you, Attorney Campbell? Can I go with you to Key West?
If you coming, you working.
That's all right. I don't mind working. As long as I can do it on the beach. All right. Attorney Campbell, if you will give us some closing remarks, please.
Ditto everything that Felicia said. We do that a lot. I also want to let people know that they can call the North Florida Office of Public Guardian if they just want to talk to somebody about where to go next, what step I should take next, or who can I talk to. And we serve as professional guardians to people who are indigent and can't afford guardianship at all. We do that. And we also have a fee-for-service side. And you can contact me at 850-487-4609 or email me at wecare@northfloridaopg.org.
Nice. Well, we are getting some great comments from folks that are saying great information. So if you will, viewers, let us know, those of you who have not chimed in, whether or not this was beneficial to you tonight. We want you to keep this conversation going and definitely tell others, tell your friends, tell your family members, get your families talking about this topic, because as these ladies have shared, if you wait too late, it can be quite costly. And you would, and not just financially, but I'm sure emotionally, mentally, all of these. So you don't want to wait to the last minute. You want to take care of these issues like right away. So advanced directives definitely are the way to go. Living wills, 5 wishes, which is the same, healthcare surrogate, durable power of attorney, rep payee, all of those are parts of that advanced directive piece. So you definitely want to use that, because again, the guardian piece, even though these ladies are lovely guardians and will do their best to serve you or your family member or loved one, it's gonna be pricey. So yeah. So their information was on the screen. I am in the process of putting together this resource list. Me and Canva had a fight today, so Canva just wouldn't let me be great, but I'm gonna work on it and get it up on the Conversations with Nicole Instagram and Facebook page for you all. But again, feel free to reach out to attorneys Thomas and attorney Campbell, at your convenience and leisure, because they have extended themselves to you to be a great wealth of information. As has been on the screen almost all night, please subscribe to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel. If you don't already, please do so. We are live here on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, seeking to normalize the conversation around mental health and wellness and encourage all of us to get our checkup from the neck up and connect with a counselor or a therapist today. And while we did not have mental health counselors on, we did have legal counsel on. And they gave us some great information about how we can be well on this Wednesday. See how I pulled that all together?
Yes.
Yes. All right. I appreciate y'all so much. I appreciate the viewers. Y'all have a great rest of the evening, great rest of the week. And we will catch y'all next time on Conversations with Nicole. Bye.